Monday night, and the BYU Cougars are still undefeated. Welcome to the Wise Guys, the largest BYU sports live stream show in the world, presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. And watch for our podcast be out tomorrow wherever you get your podcast. Happy to have Blaine back on this side of the border. Welcome back, and we've got a loaded show tonight. And DJ's going to hit the button, and we're going to see Blaine right now. Hey, there you are.
And hey, I survived a hurricane scare.
Nice.
Last week when I was watching your show on Monday night.
I don't know why you went down there in hurricane season.
Well, I didn't really pay attention to that. and little did I know that is it Milton? Is that the one that just hit Florida?
I think so. There's Helene was in there.
Yeah.
And
So anyhow, the big one that just hit Tampa, and anybody out there listening that's from that part of Florida, man, our hearts and prayers are with you guys. That was terrible. But that hurricane was just 10 miles north of us and a little bit west of us on Tuesday. And they sent the employees all home at 9 o'clock. They put us in our rooms and said if this thing happens to turn south, which there was a slight chance it could, that we could get hit. It was Category 5 at that time. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking.
We're glad you survived.
But I have to say, after it, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I mean, look how tan I am. Everybody can see how tan I am.
Yeah, look at that. It's not a spray tan. That's
it was
that's a real
absolutely
thing.
Gorgeous sunshine. And then we came home in time for that game. And wow.
It was awesome.
What a way to finish a vacation week than to go cover that game with you and the gang and to be right there and to watch it.
Well,
Not just the game itself, but everything around that game it was a carnival atmosphere.
It was so much to talk about tonight, and we're glad you made it. You missed a great time with Steve Young.
I watched you guys.
You can watch it, by the way, at wiseguys.com or on our YouTube channel.
Did I put us on? No, I was on the same. I was on. What continent is Cancun? That's still North America, right? Or is it Central America?
It's Mexico.
Well, we had one viewer from Mexico last week because I was there watching you guys. And Steve saying I was scared to come on.
He did say you were scared.
Yeah, that was a bunch of crap.
Brady Plus is our title sponsor. Brady Plus provides cleaning, food service, and packaging equipment, dispensers, and service and repairs with over 150 distribution facilities across the country and 6,000 employees. Their products can be found from Disneyland to the Pentagon and all places in between. And Brady Plus is one of the reasons Wise Guys is on the air, so we sure appreciate them.
Yeah, we absolutely, Travis and everybody at Brady Plus are our good friends. In fact, they're our family. They're the Wise Guys family. We also are excited that Wise Guys is now being distributed by the Deseret News and Deseret.com. This is Utah's newspaper since 1850. It's been my newspaper since 1981.
Yeah.
But it's been Utah since 1850. And watch for our content on their social media sites. We serve Cougar Nation all over the world. And we're glad to have the Deseret News as our distribution partner.
Cougars are 6-0, beat Arizona 41-19. We're going to hear from Kalani Sitaki in just a couple of minutes from what he had to say just a short time ago today.
Yeah. Are we putting that up right now?
No.
Okay, we're going to see that. Okay. I'm like, are we putting that up now?
Tease.
Are you teasing
We're doing
this?
the tease.
Well, let's tease some other stuff then. Let's tease the fact that we're going to do a pretty complete Oklahoma State preview. And you know who's going to help us with that? Harvey Langi.
That's going to be great.
So, and Harvey's awesome, former New England Patriot, former Cougar, is going to join us to help us do that.
And BYU Hoops, figuring out the starting five. The new AP Top 25 poll is out, the preseason poll. We'll also have what Dallin Hall has to say about the Cougs and their development. That's all coming up. Let's say hello to some folks on the live stream as we get started. I saw, let's see, there's Weatherford, Texas, Springfield, Virginia.
Yeah.
Good to have you here. St. George, Utah. Let's see, there were a few others. Vegas is always in. Cedar Park, Texas, checking in. There's Idaho Falls, American Samoa. So there's a new place for us. That's a long ways away.
What
it's like Thursday over there.
What continent do we consider that part of?
South Pacific. They're just out there, right? I don't think they get. I don't think they qualify as a continent.
But then that's just extra. We're just counting them.
That's just extra.
So Oceania, that's right.
It's
part of Oceania.
We should know that. We missed that in
and you want to know what
history
DJ,
class.
who grew up in Hawaii, he knows all of this, and he gives us the info that we need to have.
And even if it's not true, he gives it to us. Huntsville, Alabama. Alpine, Utah. We're spanning the globe today. And last week we had Indonesia in the house. We had Perth, Australia, and we expect everybody to be back.
One of them says,
There's the Philippines.
I'm in Idaho Falls, but my VPN says New Delhi, India. We'll take it.
We'll take that. Glenn from the Philippines, good to have you on the Wise Guys tonight. We might have a record audience tonight because Cougar Nation is on fire. And Harvey Langi is going to be an outstanding guest. He's been with us before. We're going to get down and dirty with the defense, which has been so much fun to watch. People say, and my brothers at dinner on Sunday night said, hey, you know what? I feel better when the defense is on the field. That doesn't happen very often at BYU.
Like something big's going to happen.
Yeah, or good.
This is a defense that just makes plays, And so, hey, Glenn's in from the Philippines.
Yeah, we just said hello.
Yeah, Provo, of course.
Britt's from Provo. Good job, Britt.
And we appreciate, Mark Actual saying it's the best night of the week. We agree. We love coming on and kind of recapping everything. How about the national rankings?
AP top 25 up to 13. That's just up one spot. People are going, well, why is it just one spot? Well, only one team lost in front of them, and that's kind of how it goes with the AP.
Yeah, it's kind of where you start at the beginning of the year, but teams are going to continue to lose in front of them. We're going to talk about some big games this week, a couple teams in front of them playing that have a chance to lose. If you just look at resumes and strength of schedule and strength of wins, BYU has 2 wins against ranked opponents. They probably should be a couple higher. They really should, but because of where they started,
which was way outside
of it, not even like people were saying in the 50s.
Yeah.
So they came a long way. So let's not get too worried about that right now.
Just win. If you just win, it just takes care of it.
You keep winning. We learned this in 1984, didn't we?
Yeah.
Just keep winning. And it'll take care of itself.
And in the big dance, win in advance.
Just keep winning and it'll take care of itself.
Number 13 in the coaches poll as well. Scheduling news, Central Florida game. That's coming up on October 26th in Orlando. And they're going to hold off until Sunday to announce the start time. Trying to figure out how big of a game it is.
Right.
Is it on Fox? Is it on ESPN? Is it prime time? Is it in the afternoon? So we're going to know on Sunday for BYU and Central Florida.
Right. In Central Florida, if they go and win on the road at Iowa State, and we'll talk about the whole schedule, that changes this game, right? So if they lose to Iowa State, it's not as big a game. If they beat Iowa State, then it's a big, big game and likely to get a little more, right?
Yeah. Sarah Carr and the Carr family in from Las Vegas on the live stream tonight.
Yes.
So let's talk about that game Saturday in front of a full house. Cougars turned 4 turnovers into 24 points. Retzlaff, 18 of 32, 218 yards, no turnovers, 2 touchdowns. He ran for 28 yards. A lot of quarterbacks, when they like to run, end up with minus yardage. He ran just enough to keep things going. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, the stadium was sold out. Retzlaff, he's right on the verge of being like big time right now. He's reeled in those crazy mistakes. And you talked to Steve Young on Monday. Then you and I talked to him again on Saturday on the air. And he talked about Jake each game getting a little bit better at understanding what he can get away with. He calls it his, what do you call it? His, like it's not his cowboy, but just this penchant to just want to go out and make a big play. He's reeled that in. He's making the plays he can make. He's throwing the ball away when he needs to. He's not throwing the ball into traffic. And he's taking care of the ball. Now I want to see his completion percentage up just a couple of points. The benchmark for where I think is great is between 63 and 65%. So he was 18 of 32. That's 56%. Think about it. 3 more completions. If he goes 21 of 32, now he's 65%. And I can think of a couple of balls that if he gets out a little quicker, and even Jake mentioned this in his post-game interview with us, he gets to 65%, and that line is, probably another 30 yards. So 248, 250, maybe 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 65%. Now you're talking elite performance. Right now he's right up in the top of the country. I'm talking about if we're going to start comparing him to some of the greats that have played here, I'd like to see him up over 60% every game.
Hey, Doyle Larry from Orem says hello and says, hey, let's get some more money together to make sure Jay Hill doesn't leave. That's a good business plan. Doyle wants to know why we don't use the tight ends as much. And that's kind of a surprise.
Yeah, and Hill did finally. Keanu Hill had 3 receptions in the last game.
And they gave Swanson a handoff.
Right, they did hand him off. I want to see him use Swanson more because I think he's a freakish athlete. Just get him the ball in space. I think this offense is getting better every week, Doyle. And I think that it's expanding every week. And I believe the tight ends are actually going to come because Jake Retzlaff is seeing the field better every week. And you know where the hardest place to see is for a quarterback that's young? or inexperienced. He's not young, but inexperienced. The middle of the field, where all those big dudes are building a wall in front of you. And so, swashbuckler was the word.
Steve liked to use that.
Steve's likes to
use
use
that on this show. He used that on Fox's big noon kickoff, and he used it on game day.
And he did say that he wants him not to be the swashbuckler that he was at Tampa Bay. He wants the Steve Young that was at the Niners. Yeah, don't we all? I think everybody wants their quarterback to be the Steve Young that was at the Niners. So, you know what else I loved about this game? A +3 in turnover margin, which was great. And remember, the one fumble BYU had was late in the game. Hinckley's just got to focus and not turn it over, but it was meaningless.
Yeah.
And the team averaged 5.4 yards a carry running the ball. That's the best running average they've had all year as a team. Hinckley Rapati had 9 carries and averaged 7.2 yards a carry. LJ Martin had 11 carries and averaged 4.5 yards a carry. And as you already mentioned, Jake did a good job running the football as well. And then there was balance in the receiving. Lassiter had 5 receptions. Roberts had 5. Martin had 3. Hill had 3. 3 other receivers had 1 each. When BYU has that kind of balance, they're really hard to stop. They were sharing the football around the field. Jake was making great decisions. There was great balance with run and pass. That's the formula. If this team's going to go play in a Big 12 championship game, the offense needs to look the way it did this last Saturday.
Russell in from San Antonio, Texas. Dirk's in from McCann Road in Deming, New Mexico. I hope that the mailman doesn't bring any bills to anyone who lives on McCann Road in Deming, Mexico. What did everybody think of Fox's Big Noon Kickoff show? Why don't you share that with us on the live stream? I thought they were great. It started with Cosmo parachuting in. They had a good time. And then on game day, we had Steve Young and Gifford Nielsen and their big basketball recruits in attendance. We'll talk about in just a little bit. Could Saturday have gone any better for BYU as a whole when it comes to BYU sports?
The big noon kickoff Fox show, that pregame show, they said that's the best attendance they've ever had at one. And the analyst Matt Leinart and Gus Johnson, who was the play-by-play, they said that it's one of the best environments they've ever seen in college football. I think BYU put on a show, and don't you love that the timing timed out that Fred Warner, the best defensive player in the NFL, was on a bye week and could come to the game.
Yes.
Puka Nacua, who's on IR, shows up at the game. Hall of Famer Steve Young shows up at the game. I mean, and they were taking all kinds of pictures of them, and people are going, oh, yeah, this is a big-time program, and they have big-time players. And I did like it that those basketball, football recruits were down on the sidelines, and Puka and Fred and Steve were having conversations with them and telling them what a great place this is to play. Right?
It was really cool.
And then you got Cosmo. How about what can't Cosmo do? So he parachutes into the stadium in the Big 12 show, the Fox Big 12 show. He lines up all the guys and Steve Young, 4 of them.
Yeah.
Runs in from off the stage.
I wasn't sure how that was going to go.
And does a barrel roll flip over all 4 of them and lands on his feet.
It was fantastic.
There's no mascot in America better than Cosmo.
And Urban Meyer got booed most of the show.
Which was funny. And he did a great job with it.
I think he encouraged that too.
Yeah,
it was just a good time.
It was fun.
Weather was perfect. And then they win the game. Now they lead the series with Arizona 13-12 with 1 tie. So they're in control of that. Kalani Sitaki addressed the media today to kick off Oklahoma State week. Some reaction from Saturday and looking ahead to Friday night. So this was just a short time ago. Let's listen to a couple minutes of the head coach.
Yeah, midway through the season, sitting at 6-0, happy about what the team's been doing, and every week the work that the guys put in. After watching the film, I'm really pleased with the team and the direction we're headed, but we have a lot of work to do still, and we have to do that in a short week. Playing against a really good team, Oklahoma State, that played in the championship game last year, so they have a great head coach. Mike Gundy's he's one of the longest tenured coaches in college football, so he's seen it all in terms of what types of seasons and how and responding to adversity. So we know we're going to get their best shot. We had a game against them last year, so it's one of the carryover games that we had from our first year in the Big 12 to the second year, and so we had a close one against them in the end of the year last year and went to double overtime and didn't work out in our favor. And so we're looking forward to this matchup and being a little bit more familiar with their roster and the depth chart and the coaching and styles and scheme. They have the same knowledge with us. They're coming off a bye week, so we know what that's like and how it can be an advantage. We just had that advantage for us, and so we know we're going to get the best shot. I say this every week. I just got to make sure that they get ours as well, and we're really happy about the game being here and being here Friday night. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that game. Looking forward to the matchup. Guys got to stay humble, stay hungry, and just keep working hard. I mean, this is a brand new week, so we're trying to go 1-0 every week. So I'm glad what we've been able to accomplish. It's not anything that we didn't think we could do. So we're in a really good spot now, but just really happy for the team and the way they played. I've been really pleased with the overall the coaching staff. I know a lot of attention goes to the coordinators, and then I think A-Rod and K-Pop and Jay have done an amazing job, getting the teams and their phases ready every week. But there's a lot of I don't think enough attention goes to the other guys that have been able to get it done too, and just want to make sure that everybody knows those guys have done an amazing job. And offense, having T.J. Woods coach the O-line, Kevin Gilbride coaching the tight ends, Harvey Unga with the running backs, and they've done a great job. And then you look at what Fessie's done with the receivers, and obviously A-Rod work with the quarterbacks. So I like what the offense is doing. Still a lot of really good things that we can improve on that help us be in a better spot to put more points on the board. Defensively, been really pleased with Sione Poha with the D-line and with Kelly Papinga with the D-ends, Justin Enna with linebackers, Janelle Guilford with the corners. They've done a great job, and just those guys just working well together, and we're making some big plays on defense, and those guys done a great job. And we've had some wonderful help from the from our analysts and our consultants and GAs, and they've done an amazing job. So I just want to make sure that they get some recognition too. So as we go through this, looking forward to the second part of the season, and looking forward to Game 7. Can't wait. I'm glad we're at home. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to the game. So
that's Kalani Sitaki from this afternoon, talking about Game 7, which is Friday night against Oklahoma State. We got a lot on the Cowboys coming up in just a little bit. Let's talk about what we liked from Saturday. And we were mentioning turnovers. They're always such a big deal. Cougars turned them into points. 24 points off those 4 turnovers. 9 of BYU's turnovers this season now have resulted in 55 points. 55.
Yeah. Turnovers are great. Points off of turnovers are even better. And BYU has been one of the best in the country, top 10 in the country, in points off of turnovers. That's huge. And they're game changers. Happened at, Kansas State came in here, and it was a flurry of turnovers that turned the game, and it was the same thing here. So we also liked that 10 points in the first 149 of the second half. How Kalani always talks about, and we talk about on the show, BYU winning the middle 8. They have a combined score of 57-17 over opponents in the final 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half, which is huge. It's demoralizing for the other team when BYU does this. And, what do we like the most of all of it? The BYU's bowl eligible in 6 games.
Imagine that. Bowl eligible in 6 games. How many
Nobody
conversations?
Predicted, well, we did. None of the national pundits had BYU going to a bowl game.
No, and I remember we spent all summer trying to figure out where they were going to get 6. If they get 6, maybe they could get 7.
I projected 7.
And now they're already at 6.
I projected 7, and I was off. I was off.
If we win Friday, you're spot on.
Everybody, yeah, but they're going to continue to win. Everybody being so bleak about their house, I was like thinking, can they win 8 or 9? And I'm like, maybe I better temper that because everybody's saying they can only win 4. Maybe I ought to back off to 7. And so I let people influence me.
Yeah, you did.
From what I thought. So.
But you know what? Kalani seemed to know what he had, but not very many others did.
Michael Zimmerman
is the biggest surprise of college football.
Yeah, Michael Zimmerman says if the defense can continue with their defensive averages, they can go undefeated.
Yeah. Yeah, they could.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Some people believe in that. Every single projection as of this week for the college football playoff has BYU in it.
Every one of them. We'll get Harvey's opinion on that here in a minute. Timothy from Perth, Australia is back with us. John from Allen, Texas. It's good to have all of you guys on the live stream. We'll try to give you as many shout-outs as we can, but please let us know, and everyone else on the stream, know where you're watching us tonight. What we didn't like were those long TV timeouts.
Oh, man.
When the game's on a major network, those commercial breaks are 3.5 minutes.
Oh, gosh.
Sometimes they feel longer, but that's the price you pay to play.
Right, because they're big advertisers that are on these big national. Yeah, it seems like forever.
Yeah, they didn't care that the game would go 5 hours. They're running ads.
There wasn't much else that we didn't like in that game.
It was just a good one.
Such a great performance, and such. Again, we keep coming back to this. This is one of the greatest environments in college football. It really is. And we've been I've been at an Ohio State Michigan game. I've been in the Swamp at Florida. You called the game at Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in games at A&M and at Texas. You and I have both done games at Texas. I've done a game at Notre Dame.
Special place.
There is no place on game day that is as electric or more electric than BYU is right now. It's incredible.
And Friday night will be under the lights, and Dave Almadova and his staff are cooking up some stuff.
Is it going to rain and snow?
It's supposed to rain in the day and be clear Friday night. No snow.
Just cold.
Yeah, just cold.
We'll
Lower
right
32.
We got to wear our big coats.
We'll be in the 30s for our post-game show.
Yikes.
So Brian was in last week, as many of you know, while Blaine was sitting on the beach. And he gave us the 3 keys to beating Arizona. He said, going to run the ball. And BYU ran for 147 yards. Most importantly, 5.4 yards per carry. He said they got to score 30-plus or more. They scored 41.
Yeah.
And create turnovers. And they created 4.
Man, they hit a home run with Brian's keys.
Week. That's a good week for Bilo.
We're gonna get we're gonna get my keys to the Oklahoma State. Maybe Harvey will give us some keys to Oklahoma State too.
Big 12 national rankings. Iowa State is up to 9. BYU's at 13. Kansas State is 17. SMU, they're not in the Big 12, but BYU beat them in Dallas. We keep tabs on them. They're 21.
Yeah. BYU has 2 ranked victories. Does anybody else have that this year? Because BYU's strength of schedule right now is like top 3 in the country.
There might be one other team, but that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I looked to see where the Utes were in both polls, and they're not.
No. Are they even receiving votes anywhere?
I don't even know. But they're not. Man. They're out.
Yeah.
They're out and dealing with their own. So we'll deal with them on the 9th.
Yeah.
Big 12 standings. Let's go over them.
Yeah, BYU tied for first with Iowa State and Texas Tech, all 3-0. I do like that whenever the Big 12 published a standings, they put BYU on top.
Yeah, it's almost like that's how it should be.
Why is that? Why do they put them first? Is it alphabetical? Is it because they got
points.
to 3-0 first? The number of points they whatever it is, they have BYU always listed first and Iowa State second, Texas Tech third. So and so that means that the next group are tied for 4th, right? And you've got Kansas State at 2-1, Arizona State at 2-1, Cincinnati at 2-1, Colorado at 2-1, and West Virginia at 2-1. So a log jam at tied for 4th. Then I know you want to talk about this. Who's tied for 9th?
The Utes are tied for 9th. They're 1-2. Cam Rising's out indefinitely. And so BYU's probably going to face the freshman quarterback up in Salt Lake on November 9th.
Yeah.
And that'll be a big one. Let's talk about the road to Arlington, which BYU is now officially on.
Yes, they are.
That's where the Big 12 championship game is. The home games left for BYU, Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Houston.
I like them 3-0.
I like them 3-0 there. Road games, UCF, which has lost 3 straight, Utah, and Arizona State. So there's 3 scenarios. 3 scenarios to get to Arlington.
Yeah. The scariest one of that road game, we'll talk about it because let's talk about scenario 1 or scenario A. Let's go A, B, and C.
Okay.
You go 3-0 at home, and then you win 2 of the 3 on the road.
Okay.
People would say Utah's the scariest one. I think Arizona State on the road is the scariest one right now.
Right now, they just beat Utah.
Well, and Scattaboo.
Yeah.
They're running back.
Let's see where they are in a month.
Yeah, we'll see. But they looked really good the other night. That he is a quality player. So let's say they win at UCF, they win at Utah, and they lose at Arizona State, or win. So they go 2-3. Then they end up 11-1 and 8-1.
11-1.
And at 11-1, they're probably in the Big 12 championship game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They've already got the tiebreaker over Kansas State.
And they're probably ranked still at 11-1. They're probably still ranked in the top 10.
Yeah.
So
option B, you go 3-0 at home. You win at least one of the 3 road games. That puts you at 10-2 and 7-2. And 7-2 with the tiebreaker on Kansas State still might get you into Arlington.
Right. Right. That you get on the line, but I still think you got a great chance. And if we would have said at the beginning of the year, like right now I'm going to be disappointed if they do that. How can I even say that after what expectations were, right? So then scenario 3 is, why don't you just win them all and go 12-0? That's what Michael Zimmerman says they're going to do.
Yeah, why not? That's the scenario that gets you to Arlington.
Well, and then John Franklin says we have not lost in Arlington, Texas.
I thought TCU got us there one year.
Did we play them in Arlington?
Didn't that year Riley Nelson gave the high five? Wasn't that in Arlington at Jerry Jones's place?
No, I think that one was in TCU Stadium.
Was it?
Yeah, wasn't that the Armed Forces Bowl?
We beat Oklahoma there.
I think that's the only game we've played there.
I thought TCU beat us there. We'll have to double check.
We'll double check.
But we like the way you're thinking.
Yeah, I like
John.
that thinking too, John.
This week in the Big 12, Oklahoma State's at BYU Friday night. TCU's at Utah in the late game on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. Utah.
The Horned Frog defense is coming after the freshman quarterback.
And Utah looked bad the other night.
Yeah, they just looked lost.
Yeah. Baylor's at Texas Tech. Texas Tech's trying to make a statement, right?
UCF's at Iowa State. Could UCF lose 4? They were contenders about a month ago, and something's gone.
They looked so
off the
good,
rocker
and then all of a sudden they've looked not good. And Iowa State looks really good.
Yeah.
They look like a complete football team. So there you go.
Kansas State's at West Virginia. That'll be an interesting one.
West Virginia's as physical a team as there in this league, and it's hard to play in Morgantown, right?
I thought West Virginia would have a better shot against Iowa State. But they didn't. Yeah. Colorado is at Arizona. Arizona State's at Cincinnati, and Houston is at Kansas. Now, national games of interest become more interesting because teams ahead of BYU that lose allow BYU to climb.
Yeah, so you got number 7 Alabama and number 11 Tennessee. That's a big game this week. And if Tennessee loses another one, BYU absolutely moves in front of Tennessee. They should be in front of Tennessee right now. With their schedule.
I thought so.
Yeah,
I was kind of hoping that Florida would have upset them on Saturday.
Yeah.
But Florida's terrible. How are you Florida and you don't have a quarterback? You can't even run a screen pass.
It should be impossible, right?
Yeah.
So that's one. If Bama wins, although it is at Tennessee. So here's my question. If Bama loses,
they fall.
Did they go behind BYU?
They've just been getting by the skin of their teeth as it is.
And they did lose to Vanderbilt. Let's never forget that.
Yeah. And Miami could lose at Louisville.
Right.
So we'll keep an eye on that. How about this? Let's do bowl projections. Now, on the live stream and our podcast, don't lose control of the car while we do some of these projections.
This is not us.
Stay focused.
These are not our projections.
These are the national guys. And Harvey Langi is going to join us in a couple of minutes. We're going to ask him some of this stuff too. But here are 4 bowl projections out today.
Let's start with CBS, Jerry Palm, who I always go to Jerry Palm to see where, and he's been pretty good on projecting where BYU goes. He's got BYU against Penn State in the college football playoffs.
Okay.
And you know what? He has them in the second round. He has a bye in the first round for them and them in the second round.
Brett McMurphy, who is our friend, he's on BYU Sports Nation all the time. He's usually on the money. He's got BYU and Georgia in the college football playoff. You heard me right. BYU and Georgia. Harvey, you heard me right. BYU and Georgia.
And then the college football news has BYU against Oregon in the college football
beating
playoff.
Ohio State the other night. 24/7 Sports, BYU against Oregon in the college football playoff. Every bowl projection out today on this Monday has BYU in the college football playoff. Now, that doesn't mean they can't come out and lose Friday or whatever, but that means just right now in the world that we live in, everybody thinks BYU's going to the playoff.
It's crazy.
And we should enjoy that moment.
We got to enjoy it because just how many weeks ago did they all think they were going to win 4 games?
Not very many. Not very many.
It's crazy to me. So, hey, by the way, we're going to do a preview on Oklahoma State.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But we might as well answer Minty Buckwalter right now, who says, Blaine and Dave, your thoughts on Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy getting headbutted by one of his cattle over the weekend?
Here's what he said today. Here's what he told the media, because he moved his press conference from being in front of a camera to Zoom and off camera. He said, I had a little run-in with my cattle over the weekend, and I guess they've been watching us play.
I love that he said that.
So anyway, he got headbutted by a cow, and so you know what? He might be a game time decision.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we're going to see out
Here's
of
the
him
thing. Is Mike
on
is he in
Friday.
Concussion protocol? What's the deal? He should be.
Do you go to protocol like that if you get hit by a cow?
I feel like if you get butted by a cow, you have to be in concussion protocol, especially if you weren't wearing a helmet. So
that's just nuts. That's just you know what? You're having a bad fall when that's what's going on. You've
Yep.
lost 3 straight, and then you get headbutted by a cow
It's crazy.
on the bye week.
Yeah. That's just rubbing salt in the wound.
Let's talk about the Cowboys for a moment before we bring Harvey in. Friday night, BYU hosting Oklahoma State. Game day starts at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. 2 hours and 15 minutes of coverage on BYU TV and ESPN+.
Yeah, and then at 8:15, Cowboys and the Cougs are on ESPN. So they're on the mothership on Friday night, 8:15 Mountain Time. And then when the game's over, you come back to us. We'll take you into the wee hours of the morning if we need to.
Yeah. We've done it before. We'll do it again.
We'll do it. We'll stay out there in the cold. We'll put warm jackets on. And Harvey, you there with us this week? Possibly. Harvey's
He's
partially
still negotiating.
He's got to get a coat first. He's got to get a coat.
Mahanrai from Jakarta, Indonesia, is on the live stream tonight. Good to have you with us. Las Vegas opened with BYU a touchdown favorite. I think that's a little larger now.
Yeah.
That's significant considering how BYU's playing and how Oklahoma State has been playing.
Yeah.
But this game could go any number of directions. The Cougars are going to wear the white helmets, the royal shirts, the white pants, just like the other night, except they're going with the white face masks.
Yeah, I like the white face mask. I think it's a clean look. That's kind of the old. So we had a couple guys. Adam Haysbert he donned the white face mask back in 1984. I think he's the first. He should get credit. This should be called the Adam Haysbert combo.
All right, we can call it that.
White helmets, royal shirts with the royal numbers and stripes. White pants with the royal stripe and a white face mask. It's the Adam Haysbert look.
Here's what the fans will be wearing. They'll be wearing winter gear.
Yeah. Are the fans supposed to wear royal this week though?
I don't know if it'll matter because you got to have your coat.
We got to get a royal coat. Come on, fans.
Are there royal coats?
Sure, we have them.
Do we have them?
Yes.
Well, then we'll be wearing them.
We have royal coats, but we're gonna have to layer because
Yeah, you got to layer up.
we don't have. No, we have those big BYU TV. Like I'm talking about, like go to Alaska royal ones.
Yeah. I survived the Iditarod in those.
Yeah.
Partly cloudy at game time. The low temperature Friday night's 32. Now, it was 80-something Saturday, which was fantastic. 32, a light breeze. It's supposed to be raining in the morning. Well, hopefully that'll move out like they say it will. Our friend Kevin Eubank, who's never wrong, that's the game plan, at least as of Monday. Things can change. But the beauty of it is no matter what happens, the game's going to be at night.
Right, and BYU, as we have documented many times in this show, we call it BYU Fright at Night. 24-3 in their last 27 games at night. 13-2 in their last 15 at LaVell Stadium. They just don't lose at night. Don't lose at night.
That is pretty good. The Cowboys are 3-3. They're 0-3 in the Big 12. They beat South Dakota State and Arkansas and Tulsa out of the gate, and then lost to Utah 22-19 in a game they were hardly in. Lost to Kansas State. Lost to West Virginia 38-14. And then they had a bye last week. So they've got quarterback issues. They've got morale issues, but they've got a team full of athletes. And that could be an issue come Friday night.
Right. And we already talked about Mike Gundy. I mean, is that going to be an issue? Is he going to be able to think straight? He got headbutted by a cow. I don't know what the repercussions from that are or whether he's in concussion protocol. But
I don't either.
That could be an issue.
Our guest tonight is former BYU and NFL linebacker, current BYU TV football analyst, Harvey Langi, who just got here from a luau. It appears as soon as DJ, when I say just got here as a luau, that's when we need the 2-shot.
Yeah.
Because now everyone's going, what do we mean, the luau?
No, what happened was, so folks don't know.
Look, that's what I'm talking about right there.
DJ is our technical director. Jack is our executive producer and producer. But DJ had to run over here and fix the lights because Harvey's shirt was glaring.
I feel like we should have glasses. We should be the ones with glasses.
Wait, here. I think we need to do the segment in glasses.
By the way, BYU has taken a 1-0 lead at Kansas State in women's soccer. We'll keep you posted on that one. That's a soccer night tonight. It's great to have Harvey here. First of all, you got yours. You know, okay.
Do you need a pair?
You know what? I'm far enough away where I think I can handle
here,
this.
I got some for you.
Who walks around with 2 pairs of glasses in your backpack?
I just got back from Cancun, brother. Here.
I'm looking like I just came back from Cancun.
You are, or that you're
And
on
Harvey,
your way. Either way.
Tell Dave, did I give him bad glasses or did I give him good glasses?
They're very, very nice.
Those
They
are
feel
Ray-Bans.
good.
Love
These
them.
are also Ray-Bans.
Love
Who is,
them. I
by the
think-
way, not a sponsor, but we'd be willing to have Ray-Ban as a
We'll make
sponsor.
room. We'll make room for Ray-Ban.
Mine came out the women's section in Target.
Hey, Harvey, what do you make of this BYU defense after 6 games?
That's why I'm dressed like this, guys. If I was a player right now, this is a big no-no. It's like, hey, let's just keep focusing.
Yeah, but you're not.
Yeah,
let's
think.
You're an analyst.
Yeah, now look, I'm on the outside. So guys, let's play a little bit. You guys worked hard. Us analysts and the guys on the outside will play hard for the team while they're staying focused.
Yes.
But the defense did their thing.
What we were talking
All
earlier,
phases.
a lot of folks feel better when the defense is on the field. And that's not always been the case at BYU, but it is the case this season. Even the crowd, defense comes out, crowd goes right to their feet because they know something is going to happen. Is it the chemistry? What is it?
So I talked a little bit about this, but if you look, at the history of BYU, even me growing up, I always knew when I watched BYU, you got to watch a couple guys, and it's quarterback, it's tight end, and it's the O lineman. And, of course, there's linebackers out there, and there's great wide receivers and running backs. But those were the 3. It's like, the O linemen are going to pancake everyone and give the quarterback all day to throw, and the quarterback's going to do something amazing. And they always had a tight end to go to whenever they needed, a big play. And then, of course, Bronco takes over, and what is he? He's a huge defensive mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to bring, more ump to base to the defense. So he goes after a lot of linebackers, D linemen, DBs, and he starts hiring these coaches that, want to develop them. And before you know it now, you get Kyle Van Noy, you had Shonataki, you have, Kairos. You could keep going down the line.
Fred, we can mention Fred.
Yeah,
He's
Fred.
pretty good.
Yeah, Freddie Wap was there. Shout out to Fred and Puka coming through.
Yeah,
they brought a lot of good energy. But now you start seeing the defense start to shine, and I was blessed to be a part of that defense. You see the Kaufusis. I was a part of that defense. Kind of cool. Michael Davis. I can sit here and just go on. Kyle Van Noy.
Sure.
Kyle Van Noy right now is going bonkers right now in the NFL. So
we were having this discussion the other night, Harvey. For recruiting purposes, it's nice to have guys in the NFL. But my boys were over for dinner last night. And we got in this discussion about the visibility of the players that are in the league. And for some reason, and this is good for BYU, all of BYU's players that are in the league are really visible players. Between Kyle, who's always in the news, and Tyler Algier, who's just rushed for 100 yards, and Jamal Williams. Like, everybody in the country loves Jamal Williams.
Everyone knows who Taysom is.
Everybody knows who Taysom Hill is. Everybody knows who Fred Warner is. And then we thought, who does Utah have in the league right now? Now, we came up with a bunch of guys, but they're not visible guys like these guys. Does that make a difference if you're a recruit coming out of high school? Do really visible players that you look up to make a difference in where you go?
100%. It's marketing in itself, but it shows that BYU is doing something where, if you really think about it, from transition from high school to college, a lot of players have to take redshirt years to develop, correct? Now you're taking BYU or college players to the NFL. So for BYU, for instance, you're showing them going to the highest level of this profession, or for their profession, and now they're doing everything right. They're not needing to be babysat. Now they're given more opportunities. They're getting more visible. That's how I think it happens. You go through a program like BYU, yes, there's standards, honor codes, but the culture of how to do things is the exact same culture of how you do it in the NFL. And you don't need time to develop. And when a lot of players get that time to develop in the NFL, sometimes they get distracted off the field with whatever.
Yeah.
Same things they got distracted with in college,
exactly.
Right? But they were good enough to still be good.
Exactly. So when BYU players go into the NFL and they've already been through a place where the structure, the culture is, hey, there's no shortcuts. You got to do it this way or hit the highway. And a lot of these players come in there, they do their job, they put their head down. Before you know it, more and more responsibilities happen, and then before you know it, they're on ESPN.
Yeah,
and
having a good time.
Everyone's memes and everything. So.
Hey, let me just cut in here, because when you hear a story like this, you just stop and talk about it. Weston on the live stream He says, I feel for Coach Gundy. You know, he got headbutted by one of his cows, and now he's working through that. He said, I feel for Coach Gundy. I had a run-in with one of my bulls, ended up with 6 fractures to 4 ribs. When I healed up, I ate him. Nice job, Weston.
I was not waiting for that ending to the story.
The ultimate revenge.
Weston, that's something right there.
So it's a tough week for Oak State. And they got to deal with this BYU defense coming in. When we see a team like this and they got quarterback issues, but they have lots of talent, to come into LaVell Edwards Stadium, do you get the feeling that the BYU defense is ready to pounce, or do they just come out and go, we're just going to do our things, and if we do our things enough, you're going to turn the ball over? Yeah, 100%. I think what you said there is exactly how I would at least go into this game with. But if I really think about it, you know, with all the things that are happening with Oklahoma State, and golly, before preseason, everyone thought they were the ones, right? Yeah. Clearly, that's not the case here. I would just keep on harping to the team, no penalties. Don't play dumb. You know, we will win when we keep from losing. Bill Belichick said that before every practice, every meeting. He would walk up there and he said, we will win when we keep from losing. And I remember as a rookie, I'd write that down, and I'm like, this is the GOAT, coach. Of course you're going to win if you keep from losing. And then later on, you know, after an hour or two of straight talking about fundamentals, you know, no 11 and no 10 or 12s on the field, the rules of the game. And I'm like, gosh, this is such the most boringest meeting ever. Like, in the beginning of every squad meeting.
This is the highest level.
Yes.
And he was talking the most basic of basics.
And then all of a sudden, I'm getting ready to play, and I'm doing everything that he's telling me. I'm going through all my notes, and then we will win when we keep from losing. Control everything that you can control, and everything will just come out the way it needs to come out, and we'll win. So I would tell that to the team this week going into it. Say, hey, no dumb penalties. Everything between the whistles. No 10 and 12, so don't have 10 or 12 guys on the field. And everyone just play your game, and we will win.
Be in your gap, do your assignment, trust the guy next to you.
Nothing less, nothing more.
Doesn't it seem like that's what this team is doing right
100%.
Yeah, and they're number 10 in the country in fewest penalties per game.
Yeah, and that's the only way Oklahoma State, for me, I think, has an opportunity to win or even have a chance to win, is if BYU all of a sudden you just start seeing laundry all night, and it's for the Cougs. No, and we haven't seen that all season.
BYU's 15th in the country in scoring defense. They're number 1 in the country in pass efficiency defense. Oklahoma State, who ran the ball really, really well last year, is struggling to run the ball this year. Ollie Gordon, I don't know what's up with Ollie Gordon. Yeah. He was a terror last year. Part of it is he's got a couple of different linemen up there. Maybe he doesn't trust them. Maybe they're not, blocking the way they should. But their run game, Ollie Gordon's averaging 3.8 yards a carry. And so the run game hasn't been big. So they've had to throw it all over the place, and they've turned it over when they do it. When you try to throw it all over the place on BYU, bad things happen to you. That's why BYU's the number 1 pass efficiency defense in the country. They just take the ball from when you try to throw it all over the place.
Yeah. And that is really, man, it's when you can make, as a defense, when you can make an offense one-dimensional, now it's just easy peasy. Everyone's just licking their chops. It's like, hey, they're not going to run. So now let's see what Bowman could do, and let's start snagging these out of the air. So now the DBs are like, oh, yeah, this is a stat game for me. Yeah. Do you remember a time when everything's clicking on the defense, and you're in the huddle, and you're just smiling, going, this is the funnest game of my life? Of course. To pinpoint one, but, yeah, you get that all the time. But and there are days when it's not like working. This, going 6-0, golly, I could only imagine the feeling that the defense of the boys have, the linebacker core right now have. But you got to feel invincible a little bit. 100%. I felt like my senior year, we always came in every game. The defense always came in knowing like, oh, we got this, and we were super confident in each other. We had complete trust in each other. There was times where we had younger guys come up and step to the plate. Freshmen. We had Chris Wilcox and other guys just step up because some of our corners got injured, and we never even blinked or flinched. And losing, I think, 3 or 4 games under 7 points or whatever it was
that type of mentality. And you can't really compare that to this season. This is something special. That's why I'm in my aloha. I'm celebrating still. Yeah, they're back at work.
Yeah.
And, they're going to come out this Friday night, but I'm celebrating.
Now, I was going to ask you about this because you mentioned that season, and I know there were times you guys felt like, you and I have talked about it, man, the defense is going to have to score if we're going to win, right?
Yeah.
And so early this year, BYU was winning some games where we were coming away going, man, defense just won that game. Like offense really were stagnant in the second half, or man, the offense just turned it over and the defense kept them in the game. That's changed the last couple of weeks now, where the offense looks really good. And the offense's numbers, they're number 30 in scoring offense now. They're number 29 in time of possession. They're starting to really perform at a high level, right? Which is really scary for other teams in the league. How did you manage it that year? How did this team manage this at the beginning of the year and not divide the team? Because I feel like at the beginning of the year, the defense must have felt like we were feeling like, man, the defense might have to get a score here.
Yeah, it gets like that. And I felt like my senior year is a little different, of course, because we had Kalani. And Kalani brought a whole new, culture and the way of coaching. And, he brought a lot of Lavelle with him. And, that's all, and that's what he knows. But with Bronco, there was times where at the end of practice, the defense would go against the scout O, and we would be 1 yard away from the touchdown. And if any offensive player passes the line of scrimmage and gets 1 inch, we had to redo it, and it was live. And it was during the times we can be live.
Yeah.
Broncos not getting in trouble for this. And I would remember the offense is all just like doing their 7-on-7, or they're grabbing water. And we're out here just, Squally was the running back, and I had to go pummel Squally and hold him and make sure you do not get across the line. And him and Mendenhall was, Zane Mendenhall was a fullback. Beast. And you have all these guys just coming downhill all game long, so it can show hey, you got to go and stop it. Those were times where I'm like, golly, look at the offense over there just kicking their feet up. We're over here breaking our backs and getting in fights. But it built a mentality. But going off what you said is, the outside world will always try to think there's a division, but when you're within the building, just like, when we have been in the building before, there's nothing that really divides it, because it's defense got your back. And Jake felt that, and now Jake is building to know, hey, I'm going to go out there and completely, here's my script. These are the things I'm going to do. And if anything goes bad, I know they're going to give me the ball back, and I'm going to go out there and do it again until I get it right, And special teams, all three phases right now are just rolling, and that's how you just build off each other and play complementary football, is because you have that trust knowing. Now defense is like, man, please score. Get us more time to breathe. Get us more time to, figure out our end, because we just gave you, whatever it is, a long field and now they're giving trust to Jake. And Jake's like, it's all good. The first couple of games, first 3-4 games, you guys had my back. I got your back. And then it might be, hey, we need special teams to score.
Yeah.
Right.
And they can do that.
Yeah. Which is nice. It's like, I talked to Tyler Batty today and a little bit about this. And he said, no, it never felt that way this year, because this team, he says, this chemistry is really, really good. And he goes, and you know what? Our offense is awesome now. He goes, how about us getting a pick on the 1 and them driving it 99 yards? He said, do you know how hard this is Tyler Batty, defense fan. Do you know how hard it is to drive the ball 99 yards in a college football game? He goes, our offense has arrived, and we're ready to keep supporting him. And I thought, wow, that's powerful, right? That they knew that they'd eventually get it and that they had to hold it together, but they never got on him because they knew what they would develop. And he looks at that 99-yard drive. I feel like that might be a turning point for this team where, okay, the offense has absolutely arrived, and now we can play, and you always use this term, complementary football.
Yeah.
They're in a good place, right?
They're in a great place. And I'm almost at fault of just being a spectator and talking, what I think should be the right, call. And I remember going and watching spring ball and some of the training camp, and I'd go talk to Keanu and some of the, Cody Epps and these guys. And I'm like, hey, how's ball going? They're like, oh, come watch. And I kept seeing Jake run the ball too much. I'm like, all right, if a quarterback at practice is running the ball, if you have, say 3 or 4 series before the second team comes in, and I see him run the ball at least once every time of those series, or he's only checking it down the majority of times.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing here? This is the time to throw contested balls. You know, and when they kept keeping him at QB1, I was like, okay, I understand that you guys want to, you know, have him progress and have him learn and build off him. He has a lot of time here. He had some experience last year, and you guys are trying to build off that. I understand that, but as I'm watching this, I'm like, check down, oh, run, oh, bomb, but he threw it out of bounds because he didn't want anyone to intercept the ball. And then he leaves practice, oh, no turnovers. And I'm like, yeah, no turnovers, but we need contested throwing balls. This is the time where you go see if Cody or Chase or any of those guys can go snag it out there so you can have trust. Yeah. And, you know, clearly I was wrong.
Well.
And I'm a big fan of you, Jake, and keep doing your thing, and you're progressing well. Stay healthy.
Former linebacker and BYU TV football analyst Harvey Langi's on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. We're going to run through these defensive position groups real quick and have you pick who you think is the surprise guy of the year so far. But before we get to that, let's do our Cougar Board question of the week.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with Cougar Board, it's the largest online community BYU fans with thousands of posts every day, and you can see our Wise Guys stuff on there all over the place. This question comes from Dilbert, one of their insider subscribers, who asks, and we'll have Harvey be our expert analyst here. We love what we're seeing from BYU's defense overall, but all those third and long conversions Arizona got were frustrating. What adjustments can they make to improve at getting off the field on third and long? Now, to Arizona's credit, Fafita was very good at buying time. He didn't run a lot, but he scrambled a lot. And with his big athletes down the field, you know, a couple extra seconds, and eventually someone's going to be open. And that seemed to be how they moved the ball.
Yeah. Hey, that's a great question. That is one of the biggest buzz killers, or just, you know, you're up on a high, you filling up, first down, stop, second down, we got a tackle for loss. Now it's third and long, and then they convert. It can really, you know, get into the minds of, you know, at least the linebackers, because gosh, we're this close from getting off the field. And that's the best feelings when you get 3 and outs, because you know you're doing your job. So that's a great question. My answer would be we need to work on our pass rush and be a little bit more creative, figuring out how we can get off the blocks, if it's the DNs, if it's Tyler, if it's Mangleson, if it's Bagna. Find that person who can come out. And I do hear, you know, Ephraim Asiata is a great pass rusher. And guys like that. And yes, he's young. Yes, you probably don't want him.
He's a little underweight right now.
He's young. He's underweight. A lot of underweight, probably good 25 pounds underweight. But when you get a guy that comes in and knows, like, my job is to only go after a quarterback, it was like Sione Takitaki.
Right.
So when Sione Takitaki was here, you know, he was trying to figure out how to call the defense, all that, and said, hey, let's throw him on the end, go get him. And then he just started getting sack after sack after sack. And then, you know, of course, as his last years at BYU, they moved him off the ball and started cross-training him to be more of an off-the-ball linebacker. But I feel like if we can find that guy within our depth chart with the D linemen, the edge rushers, or even be creative on, you know, showing up more in the line and letting one of the linebackers go in and dropping more, or whatever it is. And they have been actually super creative with Jay Hill's defense. But, you know, bringing a guy in that just knows, hey, I'm in here for 3 or 4 plays and I got to go get that quarterback.
Yeah.
Hey, Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Oh, yes. I love that.
Joins the Wise Guy, Samuel. That's our first from Brazil. Samuel, great to have you with us. Ole from Charlotte, North Carolina. Good to have you with us as well. We welcome everybody on the live stream as we visit with Harvey Langi. All right, Blaine, let's go through some of these guys.
Sometimes, though, I was going to tell you, sometimes there's something that a team does that you go, we're going to live with that. Because we shut everything else down, and they won't score if that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Kansas State, I'm taking you back to Kansas State. Dang it. Avery Johnson... Oh no! I'm not taking you to SMU. Man, Jennings is getting too many big runs. At halftime, they said to Jay Hill, the staff, "Do we make an adjustment? Do we spy him?" And Jay says, "No. He can have a run like that every once in a while. I don't care. The plan is working. They can't run the ball an inch, and they can't complete a ball down the field. They will not score if the only thing they can do is that. Why should we take somebody out of coverage and put him on Jennings? If we'll let them have a 17-yard run every once in a while, they won't score." With Arizona, they came into that game with the most plays in the country, over 50 yards and over 40 yards. They start with Noah Fafita, 6 yards off the line of scrimmage, snapping the ball. He drops to 15 yards. Then he loses ground. Sometimes he throws the ball from 19 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
And he's really good.
Right. Yeah. And he's really good, and he's elusive. And so what you say is, we're going to give up a few big plays with this, but our pass rush gets so extended when he's 19 yards off the line of scrimmage. We got to do our best to stay in the lanes. They have these big receivers. They're going to complete some balls downfield, but they can't score if that's all they can do. Hey. So we're going to live with it, and we're not going to change it. And guess what? They scored 19 points. BYU's 15th in the nation scoring defense. So sometimes you choose the thing that you're going to let them do, and you take away everything else. And in doing that, you limit the team's ability to score. Because you know what? When they get down to the 20-yard line, Arizona struggles to score all year. You know why? Because he can't drop back 19 yards, and because the receivers can't run 40 yards down the field because the end zone stops them from running. Yeah. And when it gets contested, they can't complete a ball. How many times did they complete a big ball? And by the way, BYU's longest gain all night was 39 yards. Yeah. This team gets all kinds of 40 and 50-yard gains in games.
And it came early.
And against Utah, guess what? Those 40 and 50-yard balls were all touchdowns.
Yeah.
BYU said, we're going to play on top of these guys. They might complete a 26-yard ball to McMillan, and they might get a first down. They're not going to score doing that.
It reminds me of my 1-year-old son, True. All right, there's a lot of things that he does great, but there's one thing that he always does. He always strips his diaper off and runs butt naked everywhere. And he'll find a way to strip all his clothes off and take his diaper off at a park, wherever it is. But whenever we're at church, wherever in the car, whatever it is, he's just such a good boy. I'm like, you know what? If this is your only bad thing,
I'm going to be okay with it.
Good, man. But once you get older, you're going to have to stop doing that.
You're going to have to stop doing that.
Sometimes you choose what you let them get away with, and I would submit that against Arizona. They didn't choose to. They're trying to do it, but they don't want a wholesale change to stop that when they're stopping everything else.
Yeah.
So, all right, Harvey, let's throw some names at you, and you tell us of this group who you like the best. And it's going to be tough because they're all playing really well, but that's why people are so fired up about the defense. The defensive line, Mangelson, Nelson, Banya, Batty. Who's the surprise?
I want to go with John Nelson.
Okay.
Why I'm going with John Nelson is because John Nelson, I got to train him a couple times when he was a D-end, and he was so freakishly athletic. And I'm like, man, it's going to be tough, like seeing you battle for a spot because there's a lot of good D-ends on this defense, but I've never seen a guy jump, move, twist his hips. And then, of course, they switch him over to D-tackle and ask him to gain some more weight. And if you watch how he plays, he still has the motor to get to the ball, but he's taking on now double teams after double team after double team after double team. And when I see that, I'm like, it's so impressive to watch that when all you knew is one-on-ones, let's win. Swipe, double swipe, doing the hump move. And then now you're getting double teamed day in and day out with 600 plus pounds on you, and you still are getting production on tackles and getting pressure out there. It's amazing. So I'm taking Johnny like boy.
Those two, Mangelson and Nelson are the two most underrated players on defense,
100%.
right? Because that's the two of them, especially John inside. Yeah. Are the reason these backers are getting all these tackles. Mm-hmm. I love that choice.
Yeah, and not only that, they bring so much body to the D-line. If you look in the past, of course, you have Kyrus, and you had, my years, we had Travis and Logan and all, Kesney, Telsey and all them, but a lot of them were 6 to 6'2". And these guys are around 6'3", 6'4"-ish, and they bring some more base and some more body to there.
So they both moved from defense. Yeah. Remember what Wyoming's coach said about BYU's D-line? He says, when you look out there, you see a lot of, and he used another word for it, but he said, you see a lot of butt out there.
Yeah.
And he goes, that team, their front seven, looks like a big-time P5 program.
Yeah.
Because our D-line now, they look the part.
Yeah. And sometimes that's intimidating.
Yeah.
You're a running back, you're a quarterback, and right when the guys are about to, get in their stance, you can't even see over all of them. You're like, well,
when he made that comment, I completely agreed with it. He's like, there's a lot of what out there.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Eric in Manila, Philippines on the stream tonight. So we're in Australia, Brazil, Indonesia, the Philippines. Boyd from
India.
Leander, Texas. So we're spanning the globe.
Take India because even though it's a VPN, we're taking India.
Okay. All right. Linebackers, Taggart, Kelly, Glasgow had that pick 6 against Arizona. What were those three? Who's the surprise?
So of course, Kelly is doing his thing. Kelly's he's a freak of an athlete. He's a go-getter. I gotta give him his flowers, and he's doing his thing. Keep doing what you're doing, and I can't. Everyone always asks me this question because I'm a linebacker. Hey, what do you think about Kelly? And I always kept talking. Have you guys not seen Taggart's stats?
Yeah,
like he's everywhere. He reminds me of Butch Pau.
Yeah, he is like Butch.
Butch was everywhere, and no one really gave Butch his flowers because Butch is a little bit smaller, undersized. He wasn't doing some miraculous things, but. If I bet you anything, if we would have sent Butch 3 or 4 times, or 4 or 5 times a game, he would get him a sack or two. Because that was the type of guy Butch was, and that's the type of player that Taggart is, which he's doing awesome. But I know I just talked about all. Mostly all
say something nice about Glasgow now.
But I'm going with Glasgow.
You're going with Glasgow.
I'm going with Glasgow.
It's a roundabout way. Okay.
I'm going with Glasgow. Why is because, man, I had to switch from running back to linebacker, and people will never know how hard it is. Running back, simple. Go forward.
Come on, you're an athlete.
Hey, protect the ball, protect the quarterback, get 3 yards. All right. If you start scoring, people are going to start cheering your name. You can do your dance, and now when you see Glasgow switching, getting to being a linebacker, and every single time he does anything, even if he's lead blocking down a kickoff return, leading what's his name to the end zone. He's juiced. He brings energy. He brings that I'm gonna ride for that guy, and he always somehow, some way, each game makes a big play. If it's a sack, if it's a tackle for loss, if it that pick six last game.
I'm pretty sure as the blocker for Kingston, he beat Kingston to the end zone,
and he was running with his hands up the whole time. Yeah,
he's a monster of a guy.
Yeah,
and can really run.
Yeah.
Like he's 6'5".
Yeah.
He's something special. And he's a youngin too.
Yeah. So his age and being mature enough to accept his role and getting his opportunity, he's doing a good job.
Okay, it's going to get tougher now.
Yeah. Hey, and by the way, former linebacker, not just BYU linebacker, but New England Patriots linebacker Harvey Langi in the house with us on Wise Guys, presented by Brady's Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. Okay, now it gets tougher. Corners. You can choose between Jacob Robinson, had the interception against Arizona, Marquis Collins, who has come onto the scene as a transfer and had a big year, interception at SMU, Evan Johnson, interception at Wyoming, Maury Bomba's now in there playing again. Am I missing somebody? Yeah,
they play a bunch, but these are the big four.
Those four are the primary. Jacob Robinson, Marquis Collins, Evan Johnson, and Maury Bomba.
Man, I'm going to have to go with J-Rob only because I have a brother that went to Utah State at the time when Jacob was over there. And the way that my brother describes how he was, coached, how he was treated, he's just like, man, we never thought he was going to ever do what he's doing now. He's just like, he's going to be a 3rd or 4th string guy on Utah State. And then now he's over here, and I watched him. So, Daniel Roberts is Daniel. Robertson. Robertson is now a GA for BYU, but he trained J-Rob throughout the whole offseason in high school, throughout the whole offseason when he was going to Utah State, now here to BYU. And I would always train, me and the NFL guys would train right next to them with, a couple of BYU players or whatever college players would want to come train with us. And I saw him day in and day out work and keep building those fundamentals. Everyone said he was undersized, he wasn't that fast. And just seeing what he's done in the years that he's been at BYU is amazing. So
that interception he had on the first play of the second half where he tipped the ball and then caught it, changed the game. That was his 10th interception. So Kai's got 13. That's the most at BYU since 2000. He's currently tied with Andrew Rich, who's been on the show.
Yeah.
And he's got 19 pass breakups. I think that's 4 shy of the school record. He's got 6 more, 7 more, maybe 8 more games. To do all that stuff.
So, big ups to him. Keep doing what you're doing. And I watched that kid put the blood, sweat, and tears and the time and sacrifice to get to where he's at. So,
remember when Steve Young talked to us about at quarterback to get to the next level, you have to own the data. Remember he said that on the shows, which I thought I loved that on the show. You got to own the data. You got to be so into it. You know everything. I feel like that's J-Rob on defense. Remember when he talked about that pick he had last year? The route came out, and he told the guys, this is what we're going to do because I'm going to pick this off, because he knew the route before it came because he'd studied so hard. Like, that's J-Rob, and that's work. You're so right. That's just work, right?
Yeah.
So how about the safeties? Because there are two guys playing safety right now, or the two starters at safety, that we didn't even talk about preseason.
Yeah.
I did a little bit during camp, that are playing at an elite level. Tanner Wall, that crazy interception. He was playing 3 deep zone in the middle of the field and ran to the sideline and picked the ball up. It's unbelievable. And then you got Crew Wakely. His interception at Baylor was elite level. And they're both smacking people around and physical. Those are 2 stars. We could throw Raider Demooney in there, who's getting some run, who's a young talent, crazy athletic. But really, Tanner and Crew have been getting the majority of the downs at those 2 safety positions. Who you pick as the best safety?
Man, these guys walk around like their pads are the biggest pads. They come like, hey, don't touch these guys. They'll put you in the hospital, you know? And you got to just, yeah, it's a tough one. I got to go with Tanner.
Yeah.
Only because, you know, of course, man, Crew, you're doing your thing. Last year you had a lot of good time, but man, Tanner's had a crazy journey at BYU. Mm-hmm. And just seeing him develop into the player that he is, I believe he was a walk-on, correct? Or
Yeah.
was it? Yeah. And, you know, moving from different positions to different positions to different positions, and finally, you know, getting his opportunity. And I remember when he got hurt last year, he was just like, man, I felt like I was on the brink of like something special. Well, guess what, kid? It's here.
Yeah, it's
and
something
you're
special.
doing your thing, and you and Crew are, you know, you guys are, you know, the Legion of Boom, you know, back in Seattle when they had all those DBs just coming in and smacking everybody. And those 2 guys are a nightmare for any running back that's coming down the alley, quarterback that's coming down the alley, or any of these, you know, crossing routes that are coming there. Because these guys, I love the way they hit. They remind me of some linebackers that come down and lay the wood. So
it really is fun to have safeties that just want to smack people.
Yeah. You know, Craig Bills. I always talk about Craig Bills. And Craig Bills, even Kai. Kai was he was super athletic, but he would want to come down and hit people. Micah Hanneman, like, there's a lot of guys I got to play with that they were, you know, wanted to come down and hit people.
Yeah.
Chris Badger.
When my oldest was playing, a young safety that was coming up was Aaron Francisco, and Kellen would say to me, Dad, wait till this guy plays. Like, he's just going to blow up people up, you know? And when you have somebody like that in the back end, receivers actually think about, man, you serious? You want me to run a dig in front of that dude?
No,
he might blow me up.
Yeah.
It makes them have a second thought going in
But
there.
the thing is, too, is like linebackers, you see them, you're like, all right, you're going to have a big ego. You think you're like the strongest guy but then you go shake your Crew or even Tanner, you see him off the street. They're the nicest. Craig.
Yeah.
Craig comes off and he's like, you know, in a shirt and tie. And he's like, hey, how you doing, Harvey? And then when he's on the field, it's like, I'm going to rip your freaking face off. I'm like, oh my goodness.
When you have great safeties, they're erasers.
Yeah.
They erase mistakes in the back end. And these guys have done that this year. There just aren't big plays over the top. BYU is so hard you break a run that against anybody else is a 55-yard touchdown, it's a 26-yard gain, and then they come back and play D.
Yeah.
And this defense is so confident that if they don't give up a big play, they're going to make it really, really hard for you to score after that 26-yard gain.
Yeah.
And so when you've got erasers in the back end that don't give up big plays over the top, either in the pass game or the run game, you can control the scoring and you can win a lot of games. I give a lot of credit to those 2 for doing a great job.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that, you know, with talking about erasers, like that's how I felt with Kai. Every single time we got in a situation, I'm like, Kai, just pick the ball off, man. Let's get out of here.
Just go make a play.
Yeah, go make a play for us. And then, you know, he started getting targeting, and Micah started getting targeting, Craig started getting targeting calls, and these guys haven't got one, knock on wood.
Yeah,
and, you know, so that means, you know, they're developed and they're tackling well.
That play that Tanner Wall made, that interception on the sideline, on the 1-yard line, which was followed up by a 99-yard drive by the offense. I don't know if I can explain this right to everybody, but they were in 3 deep zone. So his responsibility was the middle of the field.
And that's not just like the little middle of the field. No, that's from hash to hash is his.
So,
you know.
and they ran
a lot of ground.
That's a lot
they
of
ran
real
a post
estate.
at him. In the corner, I'm not going to call him out by name, but blew the coverage. He almost played it like it was too deep. He was supposed to, the corner is supposed to have the outside of the field deep and wasn't there. And Tanner took the post, then he saw Fafita close his shoulders and cock his arm to throw the ball to the outside. He put his foot in the ground from the middle of the field and ran all the way to the sideline and picked the ball off. It seemed simple, like maybe he was supposed to be there. He wasn't supposed to be there. That wasn't his job.
Yeah.
And he made that play. He erased a mistake. And to cover that much ground and to have the ball skills to make that play.
Or the instincts.
Yeah, that was one of the most elite plays I've seen all season long on defense. And I don't know that people realize that he was supposed to be in the middle of the field and he made a pick on the sideline. That's crazy.
Was good. Mike from San Antonio on the live stream. Good to have you here, Mike. Visiting with former BYU and NFL linebacker Harvey Langi on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, wiseguys.com, live all around the world. Couple more questions for you, Harvey. The keys to beating Oklahoma State Friday night at LAS, what are they?
Yeah, I feel like I've talked about it already. I just feel like, hey, we'll win when we keep from losing. No penalties. Okay. Just go out there, play your game. We all understand how hard it is to play at Lavelle Edwards Stadium at night. And when it's pumping, you have the crowd moving. The only thing that's alive in Provo is in that stadium, and it's going crazy. It's tough to play there. The only way is if these guys are not overly hyped to the point where they do things they shouldn't be doing, or it's just like out of the norm. It's like, hey, why did you go out there and just shove him in the face mask after the whistle? Well, I'm just amped up. Everyone, it's a big game. We're 6-0. I want to show them. Those are the things that I hope they don't do. Just be penalty free. I 100% believe if we were just penalty free and take the least amount of penalties here, we'll be successful.
Okay. All right. 6-0, 6 games to play. Where do you see this team finishing?
Well, conference championship, of course, that's first. And then now seeing a lot of projections and seeing what's going on after this weekend, man, great possibility and a great chance for the Cougs to be in the playoff run.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually
crazy,
it's realistic.
Real.
It's actually realistic.
Yeah, it's unreal. It really is. And a lot of us former players always talk like, man, we are the most committed and, fans when we leave BYU. But gosh, we can talk so much smack on our own guys. Like, we got to figure out this balance. And then, now we're all just like, man, BYU forever. And, hey, guys, when are we going to go to Topgolf, or when are we going to go snowboard? And, now we all want to, reunion and watch more games. So, hey, them winning not only brings them together and the town together, man, you're bringing all this alum together. So,
and I'll tell you something, that's winning it helps recruiting. And so they're coming off a 5-7 year, first year, and there was a lot of youth on defense, brand new defense, bunch of transfers on offense, learning the offense for the first time. They knew they had dudes. Now we're seeing those dudes, because when experience meets talent, that's when you win, right? But if BYU does some of the things if they win 10 plus games and they go to the Big 12 championship, and man, do we even wish this far that they go to the college football playoff? That's the last time Utah will ever out-recruit them for anybody.
Should be.
Yeah. Utah's won the recruiting wars, especially for D-line and some of the other positions, by virtue of being in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Right? And BYU being independent and being in a big league. They're in the same league. If BYU goes out and wins the league, then Utah has nothing that they can do. And frankly, if they win the league and they're in college football playoff, all of a sudden Oregon's got some troubles recruiting against them, and Arizona State definitely can't recruit against them. It changes their stars for recruiting, and then you just hope they never look back.
Yeah.
That's how big this season can be.
And they're going to lose their coach too here pretty quick, Kyle Whittingham.
Yeah.
Whether it's another year or 2 or whatever, but that's coming to an end as well.
And that's their biggest recruiting rival. But remember, BYU also recruits against Arizona State. There's kids down there that BYU would like to get. They recruit Southern California. They recruit against UCLA, and they just had a local kid commit to UCLA.
Yeah.
And you go out and you go in a college football playoff. Why would you ever go to UCLA instead of here at that point?
Never.
Right. And so that winning helps recruiting.
It was like when I was deciding where I wanted to go out of high school, when Utah switched to the Pac-12. I'm like, man, a lot of my favorite schools, there's some out in the, Midwest or the South or in the East, very slim. But the majority of them are in California. I love California. And then all of a sudden, Utah changes to the Pac-12. I'm like, man, how about I stay home? We go beat these California teams.
Right.
Like, that'd be awesome. And so, exactly, you're 100% right.
But then you switched.
Yeah. Yeah, but
And
then
the rest is history.
I saw the light.
5 questions is presented by Strategy Square, delivering connection, clarity, and confidence in business and marketing strategies. Owned and operated by a BYU alum who's helping wise guys conquer the world. Now, you've done the original 5 questions, so this is revised.
Whole new deal.
We're going to have 5 questions, but we're also going to provide one of the 3 answers. So it's a limited, controlled 5 questions.
So it's multiple choice.
Okay, multiple choice.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all.
And you can give us a why if you want to, but we're going to give you multiple
We don't want you to venture out beyond the categories.
Yeah, okay.
So you ready for this?
All right. If I get 70%, I'll take it.
Who has the best hamburger, McDonald's, In-N-Out, or Wendy's?
I'm going in and out.
Okay.
In-N-Out?
All right.
Yeah. If I was my younger self back in, elementary and middle school, I'd go McDonald's. But as I've gotten older and wiser, in and out, I'm so glad we have one.
All of our kids give Dave and I a lot of hassle that sometimes when we're on the road and we go doing a basketball game or something, or we're doing a home game here and in between shoot around in the game, we run to McDonald's and grab something like McDonald's.
Bet a Big Mac.
Well,
Dave and I are like, what's wrong with McDonald's?
There's nothing wrong with McDonald's.
I guess you're right. I guess I'm going by In and Out. I'm going by In and Out only because I felt like I was answering for.
But I agree.
Provo,
In and Out's good.
In and Out's good. I like In and Out.
All 3 are.
I like their
all
fries.
3 are good. Okay, here's the next one.
Okay, best pizza: Papa John's, Pizza Hut, or Little Caesars?
All right. It's tough. I don't really get Papa John's, and I don't really get Pizza Hut. I'm usually Domino's or Little Caesars.
So you're going to go none of the above? Domino's?
I could have put Domino's instead of Caesars.
I'm a big Domino's. What is it? They're lava cakes. They're super chocolatey, and they give me all these goosebumps. Like I ate way too much sugar.
That has nothing to do with pizza. You're going with Domino's?
I could go with Domino's.
Yeah,
okay. Little Caesars, my kids call Little Caesars hot and sweaties instead of hot and ready.
We'll write in Domino's.
They call it Little Screams.
Yeah. Kids love Little Caesars because it comes as flat cheese.
Guys, I'm a Papa John's guy.
I do like Papa John's.
I'm a Papa John's guy. Okay. Best ice cream flavor: chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry? I know what one you like because we talked about this Saturday up at the Creamery, but chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry?
I'm going vanilla.
You're a vanilla guy?
Yeah.
What are you, Dave?
I think I'm vanilla.
Wow.
You can always put stuff on it that brings it to life, but I like the scoop of vanilla.
I'm a chocolate guy. I know your favorite is Graham Canyon.
Oh, man. Grand Canyon is
his favorite is Graham Canyon up at the Creamery.
That's good stuff.
But you two are vanilla versus chocolate. Okay. Okay. Best holiday: Thanksgiving, Christmas, or the 4th of July?
I almost put Halloween in there, but I just went with the 3.
Well, 4th of July is awesome, but I always got fines because we try to blow things up growing up. So that's bad memories.
It's that time of year.
Come on, be safe on 4th of July. And Thanksgiving is always awesome. I'm not a big ham guy.
But just do turkey.
I know I like turkey too, but everyone always has the ham there and no one touches it. And that's the one that's chilling at my house for the longest time. And I'm like, get this ham out of here. So I'm going to go with Christmas.
Okay. There's no loser in that one.
No, there's no loser.
Christmas.
Yeah. I was going to throw Valentine's Day in there, and then you'd have to say it, even though we all think it's a made-up holiday that Hallmark made up.
Yeah,
I think it is.
So, okay. This is Dave's question, of course. Best classic rock band: AC/DC, Van Halen, or Def Leppard?
Golly. I think I gotta go AC/DC only because I have way more AC/DC shirts than
I got a couple.
Than the other.
That's a great choice. All 3 are classics. Def Leppard was just here in concert. They were fantastic.
Yeah. Dave's an AC/DC guy.
But,
I'm a Van Halen guy.
Okay,
they're all classics.
They're all awesome. And by the way, Gregory Thomas says, too bad the BYU Creamery doesn't make caramel cashew or pistachio.
Ooh,
See, caramel cashew, I'm with you, Gregory. I would absolutely.
Don't tell me you're not a pistachio guy.
I like pistachio. I'm okay too.
I'm not a pistachio guy.
But caramel cashew.
I like pistachios, just not in ice cream.
Yeah, Snell Gross has a caramel cashew that I'm sure Gregory Thomas has had. Yeah. And I would, too bad they don't have that.
Dulce de leche is the best. Is Haagen-Dazs, caramel and vanilla. I could eat that forever.
So Dulce de leche might be
on sale, I stock up.
Graham Canyon is yours.
Graham Canyon's
I'm with you on Graham Canyon.
Yeah.
So
Graham Canyon, I went and bought at those Creamery, the small little ones. But I think I bought like 50 of them to stock my. Because if you get the big one, sometimes you get a scoop and then you never touch it for another month or so, and then you go back and it has like all the ice crystals.
On it.
Stuff
you get the small little ones.
Yeah,
high maintenance.
I'm with you, Greg. I'm with you, Gregory Thomas. Though a caramel cashew. I love it. It's my wife's favorite. Caramel cashew is my wife's favorite.
5 questions is presented by Strategy Square. Great to have Harvey Langi with us tonight.
Harvey, you're the best,
Hey,
man.
we'll see you Friday night. Dress warm.
Awesome.
That Hawaiian shirt isn't going to fly on Friday night.
Let's get this back
What
on.
color are we wearing Friday? What are we wearing Friday?
I don't know. Whatever our heavy coat color is.
We have. Do you have one of those royal blue heavy
It
ones?
might
or
not
do you
be
only
too
have the
bad.
navy heavy
No,
one?
only navy.
Pre-game show might not be too bad. It might be in the 40s.
We should do the lighter coats and layer it up.
Yeah.
Is it really supposed to be that cold?
Yeah.
32
Low
by
of
the end.
32.
Post game could be in the 30s.
Winter's here.
All right. Say goodbye to Harvey, everybody.
Harvey's got his
Thank you, everyone.
glasses.
See you
on.
Friday
But I'm
night.
going to also give you a safety tip. Please do not drive tonight in
Yeah,
those
I
glasses.
took them
Yeah,
off.
it's like
Even though
only
yeah.
Corey Hart drives with those sunglasses at night.
Thanks for having
Remember,
me, y'all.
Harvey
Missionary
Langi.
training videos, which you saw, I am the safety guy.
Okay, really?
You don't remember that?
I need to pay attention.
President Cusick didn't make you watch the safety
Oh,
videos every
he
quarter?
for sure did. I was probably just.
He might not have remembered it.
I was.
Might
I
have had
was
his glasses
I
on.
was the safety guy on that, along with Jeremy and Spencer. You didn't know that?
I'm gonna straight up look on YouTube when I get home.
Go look at P-Day Safety. That's my favorite episode.
Okay, awesome.
So-
Thank
Thanks,
you guys.
Harvey.
Thanks,
See you in a couple days.
See everybody.
The great Harvey Langi. Next week, Elder Clark Gilbert, the Commissioner of the Church Educational System of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, will be right here in our studio. We'll take your questions. We'll talk about the future of BYU sports.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Ty Detmer will be with us on October 28th, along with Mark Durant, ahead of basketball season opener. We'll talk about basketball coming up here in just a few minutes.
And by the way, Jeff Chapman said we need a repeat performance from Jeff Chapman, right?
Yeah, we do.
Jeff's going to be down in a couple weeks. He said, throw a few dates out to him. He stayed with us this weekend, came back for a homecoming, the big basketball thing. And Jeff said, yeah, you guys just let me know. I'll come on with you whenever you want. So we'll get Jeff back.
The Oklahoma State BYU series, the Cowboys lead at 3-0. They've never been here in Provo. This will be their first. Last year they won double overtime, 40-34, Thanksgiving weekend on a cold, chilly, wet day. And it's going to be that again this week. The Cougars led 24-6 at halftime, then the wheels came off. And you know the quarterback, Jake Retzlaff's eager to get the wheels back on against Oklahoma State.
Well, the wheels are on, and he has no expectation for them to come off. They're firmly fastened on.
But I think, we all have those little personal redemption moments. This is one of them for him. That was a tough day for him in Stillwater, and now he gets to get after them again.
I tried to get Tyler Batty to I did a sit down with Tyler today that'll be on our pregame show on Friday night. He's great, but I tried to get him to talk a little bit about maybe this game was on us, but he wouldn't. He's too veteran.
Yeah, he
didn't want to give any bulletin board
smooth
material.
customer.
He's very smooth in the interview, but he did say that this is a different team on both sides of the ball this year for BYU that's playing Oklahoma State.
What are your 3 keys to beating Oklahoma State?
Yeah, so kind of keeping some of the things that we've talked about tonight. No Oklahoma State big plays over the top. Oklahoma State's struggling to drive the ball this year. And so I think if BYU can keep everything in front of them. So like Arizona, if a big play is 29 yards, BYU can deal with that and they can keep the scoring down. And I think you make Oklahoma State drive the field. So no big plays over the top is my 1. My number 2 is win the turnover margin battle. Yeah. Create short fields for your offense and don't give Oklahoma State short fields, and you're going to come out on top. That may be the most important one right there. Yeah. And then my 3rd is contain the Oklahoma State run game. It hasn't been what it was last year, but when you have a back like Ollie Gordon, any game you could just go off. He's that good.
Wasn't it interesting that last year BYU contained him in the first half, and then after halftime he ran for 5 touchdowns.
Right. And they made a little adjustment in the way they were blocking the front, and BYU didn't do a great job of coming off blocks. And he's a great player. Don't let that 3.8 yards of carry this year fully. I honestly think it's up front. They haven't been doing a great job for him this year. I think Ollie Gordon's still the same guy.
And BYU's tough in run defense. That's going to be interesting.
Yes. And I feel like we just got done talking about these safeties. They're not just really athletic and physical at linebacker. They're really athletic and physical at both safety spots. That makes it harder to get big plays in the run game. If BYU is assignment sound the way they have been the last couple weeks defensively, very few breakdowns. One of the breakdowns defensively where they had a completely blown coverage, Tanner Wall erased the bad play with an interception, right? I think if they're assignment sound, they can control this run game. I think it's very important to make Oklahoma State be a one-dimensional throw the football team.
Coming up November 25th on the Wise Guys, BYU President Shane Reese, Utah President Taylor Randall. That's how we'll kick off Thanksgiving week.
Yep.
Together in our show for the first time. Look for that later in November. Let's get to Cougars in the NFL, and then we're going to do some serious basketball talk and tell you how that weekend went for BYU's visiting star recruits.
Yeah, wow.
Thursday night, the Broncos and Zach Wilson over there on the sideline going to take on the Saints. I don't know if Taysom Hill's going to still be on the sideline, banged up with his ribs and stuff. Jamal Williams will be out there for the Saints, so that's Thursday night.
What? Broncos need to play Zach Wilson.
They do, and Taysom needs to get healthy because the Saints can't win without him.
Do you think they saw enough of Zach Wilson in the preseason that somebody else is going to want him after the season? If the Broncos
I think so.
I think so too. Yeah. So, how about Sunday? The Texans are at the Packers. Zane Anderson's still with the Packers.
Packers are playing good. The Seahawks are at the Falcons. Tyler Algier, shout out to Tyler, over 100 yards and a touchdound against the Panthers.
Yeah, he played great.
Yeah.
He was a tank in that game, which we know Tyler is. The Bengals and Ryan Rico. Weren't we watching the Bengals game together?
It was on Sunday Night Football last night. He was launching the ball.
I walked in and he just hit like a 70-yard punt or something crazy like
good.
that. Yeah, Ryan Rico, they're at the Browns, and the Dolphins are at the Colts with Blake Freeland.
Brady Christensen of the Panthers at the Commanders, so they'll reunite. He'll reunite with Michael Davis. Puka was at the football game. I don't know how close he's to getting back with the Rams, but they play the Raiders in L.A. on Sunday.
Yeah, and then the Chiefs, all of our favorite team, right? Who doesn't root for the Chiefs with Andy Reid? If you don't, you're not a BYU fan. So, the Chiefs, Kingsley Suamataia, also Andy Reid, are at the Niners and Fred Warner.
Oh, that's going to be a good game.
So fun. And Fred had a bye this last weekend, so he was at the game.
And he brought his wife, and it looked like they had a great time.
So fun to see Fred. And I was talking to Gavin, my youngest, that coaches the safeties here, and he says it was so fun to see Fred. And I go, yeah, what was it like to have him there? He goes, he's just the same dude he was when he played here.
Yeah.
Like, he's the best player in the NFL. He's in the news every week, and he comes back, and he's just like Fred that was the teammate for Gavin, and to all the young players and to the coaching staff, a bunch of them played with Fred. He goes, he's just the same exact nice guy that he was when he was here. I love to hear that about these superstars.
That's great. Monday, Kyle Van Noy and the Ravens are at the Bucks, and the Chargers are at the Cardinals with Kyrie's Tonga. Wise Guys, by the way, is presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. Let's talk basketball. We're just about there. Less than 30 days from the season opener, which you and I will be on the call on election night.
It's like I finally, I'm starting to look through calendar where I just go up a couple weeks and I go, guess what? There's a basketball game on my calendar in a couple of weeks.
So AJ Dybantsa and JJ Mandaquit visited together over the weekend. They're both playing at Utah Prep. AJ's the number one recruit in America, projected to be the number one draft pick in the NBA in 2 years. And Mandaquit, a lot of folks say he's the best player to come out of the state of Hawaii ever. So these are two pretty high-quality guys. They worked out at the Annex, saw some video of that. They met with Fred. They met with Puka. They met with Steve Young. They saw all the stars. But what I thought was the most cool, and we don't even know if it's legal, so we'll just talk about it quietly.
Yeah.
But Mandaquit and Dybantsa ran out with the football team to start the game. You know, they come out of the locker room, the fireworks, whatever, team's running out. Right there in the middle of is AJ Dybantsa and JJ Mandaquit running full steam.
And if you don't get an adrenaline rush doing that,
how cool is that?
Then you're dead. But you have to be dead to not have an adrenaline. Like, coming out of that tunnel in that environment is something special. Like, your hair stands up, you have goosebumps, you get an adrenaline rush. There's nothing like it.
And there those go.
There
go those two.
I love it.
We were told from people who know that the reaction from this visit was that it could not have gone any better.
Yeah, I don't know how it could.
From the BYU side. And they're not going to announce anytime soon. Dybantsa, in fact, is not going to announce till February. And he's expensive. You know, it's the NIL. This is the number one kid. The question is, it's a two-pronged thing now. It's, hey, BYU's the place for you. You can develop as a human being. You got great coaches around you. You're in the best league in America. There's the one thing. Do you want to do that? And then over here's the business side of it. Is the NIL going to be enough to get you? Yeah. And they are not the same anymore. And so it's going to be expensive to get Dybantsa. The question is, how much?
is BYU. And I say BYU, how much is the NIL guys, not the program, the NIL guys, willing to fork over to get the number one player in America to Provo?
Yeah. And does it have to be the same as, because we did find out that with Yegor Demon and with Cannon Catchings.
A lot less than what people were saying.
Because Kevin Young sold him on the networking opportunity and lifelong connections with people that help him start businesses and the opportunity to be developed by a group of coaches that have developed multiple lottery picks before and in the NBA. And so the Demon family, the mom and dad, they're very sophisticated. They're like, yeah, you know what? It's more important that he develop and make a lifelong commitment to be a first-round draft pick. And Kevin Young and the group went over there and they convinced him, where else do you want to be? Harvey Langi just echoed that about football. He said, you know what? Fred Warner and all these guys, they come out of BYU. They're already in a professional mode. They're focused. They don't have distractions. They come in. They're ready to play earlier in the NFL. The NFL loves BYU guys that are talented like those guys because they're NFL ready. And Kevin Young has sold these guys on coming for the same reason. You're going to be NBA ready when you leave here. If you're coming to a place to play for 1 year, there's no place better. There's no fewer distractions. There's no more focus on getting you the right place than this. So it may not take as much to get somebody like Dybantsa here as it would for him to go to Duke. I don't think BYU has to pay what Duke's paying or North Carolina's paying.
Kansas is in the mix. Kansas State, Auburn, Alabama, North Carolina, BYU. That's the final 6. We can tell you this, BYU is very much in the mix for this kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of recruiting services believe BYU is in the lead for this kid. We know he just had a fantastic visit. His parents were here over the weekend for the 3rd time.
Yeah.
The 3rd time that they've come to BYU from the East Coast.
Hey, and by the way, you've started a whole discussion about which bands are the best in the world, by the way. There's,
Yeah.
So
well,
guys, they're saying that, why didn't we say Rush?
That's because we're difference makers.
Yeah.
We throw things out.
Yeah, we throw it out there. But I do like the discussion out here. Rush did come up. They are a great band.
I love that the streamers can talk amongst themselves while listening to us. That's multitasking.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I appreciate the conversation going on behind the scenes there.
Let's do some poll watching.
But people are pumped, like Marcel says, totally pumped about this year's B-ball team, arguably the top talent BYU has ever assembled in its history. I would agree with that.
I believe that. We're both in practice. It is.
It's amazing. You got to go back. This reminds me of watching Danny Ainge and Fred Roberts and Steve Trumbo and that whole group, Greg Kite, who were longtime NBA guys. These guys are way more athletic. Nobody's way more athletic than Danny Ainge back in the day, but than the rest of them, and have a higher ceiling than those guys. So I would agree. You could go all the way back to that team and talent on the floor. Now, can they all play together? Because that group played great together and got to an Elite 8.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We will see. It's going to be exciting. Ken Palm's preseason top 25 came out today. BYU's number 21. 7 Big 12 teams are ranked ahead of them, including number 1 Houston.
Yeah.
And it only gets,
Houston's got everybody back.
It's crazy.
Big 12 preseason poll, they got Kansas number 1, BYU number 9, and Utah number 16.
Out of how many teams?
16.
16.
You had to mention that.
The AP preseason poll came out today. Lots of stuff going on. Kansas is number 1 in this one. Houston is number 4. Iowa State's number 5. Baylor's number 8. And Arizona's number 10. BYU's unranked. They're receiving some votes. But
think about this
1,
league.
4, 5, 8, and 10 out of the gates.
This league is to basketball what the SEC is to football.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Only deeper.
1, 4, 5, 8, and 10. Yeah.
And that was just the top 10. I think Cincinnati's in there somewhere too. The blue-white game was last week. Went and saw it. Deep, athletic. Demon and Catchings are smooth customers.
So good for young guys.
There was a really good crowd there. It was a chance for those guys to deal with the adrenaline. They'll have an exhibition game coming up, and then it's showtime.
Yeah.
And for some of these kids to put on a BYU jersey and go out there for the first time, Catchings, Demon, and even Kaba, just to do it. Yeah. And it looked like they had a good time. And afterwards, Dallin Hall was asked about, hey, is there a starting 5 figured out? What's the rotation look like? Here's what he said.
He said, as of right now, everyone is competing at a really high level, and coach is figuring that out. The great thing about the guys that coaches brought in and kept here is that the only thing on everyone's mind is winning. We're going to put that first. Everyone's going to sacrifice for the team, and that should take care of itself. You know, we were talking about this quote for our show, and then I saw Chase Roberts today, and they were talking about, you know, getting more targets or whatever, and Chase said, hey, you know what? And he almost word for word what Dallin said. It's like, do you know when you get NFL opportunities? When your team wins a bunch of games. Yep. Then everybody gets looked at. And so our focus is on winning as a football team, and more guys will get noticed, and more guys will have opportunities in the NFL. And then we see this quote from Dallin. It's basically along those same lines. You know what? BYU football is 6-0 because of that mentality. Nobody cares about who gets the throws. Nobody cares. They just care about winning, and it'll take care of itself. I love that Dallin's talking that same way. If this basketball team with all of this talent can have the mentality of this football team, we're in for a really, really fun year.
So Phil on the live stream says that basketball got no respect on the preseason polls and the Big 12 poll, but we love it. And here's the thing. BYU got really, really good here in the offseason. And the staff and everything was it's like night and day. Mm-hmm. But the other Big 12 teams also got better.
Yeah.
You remember Kansas? Wasn't that great last year?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they fixed some things.
They did, yeah.
And so I don't know if it's a lack of respect. I think it's a lot of the unknown. But you're in a league where you got better, but so did the 8 teams in front of you.
Well, and here's the other thing. This league has unbelievable coaches. Not just unbelievable recruiters, but unbelievably talented game coaches, proven. And we were talking to Mark Pope over the last couple of years, and he just said, oh, man, you know, going into the league, he's like, man, this league has such good coaches. Last year in the league, he was like, oh, my gosh. Like, you do something and they counter it. You get up by 20 and they make changes on the fly. There's just so many good coaches and so many good players in this league that you got to be consistent and good and unselfish if you're going to win.
Now, Marco says starting 5, Catchings, Demon, Kada, Hall, and Sanders. I think it's going to be Trevanell and Richie coming off the bench, but I agree with the rest of the 5.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough 5. And you know what? The next 5 are also good. And
sometimes, remember, different coaching staff, but Jackson was coming off the bench last year, remember? Robinson, Jax?
Yeah.
Because Mark loved that when the second group from the other team came in, they couldn't match up with him. Remember?
Yeah.
And so who knows what Kevin and this group will do. They may have somebody that we think is one of the top 5 best players. He's like, no, I like him in the second line. He'll play starters minutes, but when we bring him off the bench at the 5-minute mark, there's going to be nobody on the floor that can match up with him.
It's going to be so interesting.
Yeah.
Exhibition against Colorado Christian, October 30th, just around the corner.
Yeah, you and I have that,
7
right?
o'clock. No TV on that one.
Oh no, that's right.
We're going to do it, and then the guys just thought, we don't want to give any film to anybody before we have to.
We had that, and now we don't. I got to remember that.
So our opener is the following week, Central Arkansas.
Yes,
November 5th.
That's right.
7 o'clock Mountain, ESPN Plus. It'll all begin on that. And, well, you know what? We'll keep tabs on the presidential election as well.
Yeah, we'll keep you up.
That's going to be a busy night.
And then the Big 12 opener is Arizona State's at BYU on December 31st, 2 p.m., and that's on ESPN too.
The Cougars going to have 11 conference games on ESPN or ESPN2 or ESPNU. 1 game on CBS Sports Network, and the others will be on ESPN Plus. So that's like a massive increase from last year of being on linear TV.
They were on ESPN Plus a lot last year.
So a lot of folks are going to get to watch this team.
Yeah, and keep in mind, little plug for what we're doing, just like we did last year. For every home game, we're going to have a BYU TV pre- and post-game show just like we did last season for basketball. So we'll be there bringing that to you so you can tune in an hour before the game, come to us after the game, and we'll give you more BYU-specific stuff and lead you into the game just like we do every week and again this week for BYU football.
Since we were together last, BYU named Justin Young as its director of recruiting. You got to have one, and now they got one. And Kevin Young says Justin has a lifetime of experience in the recruiting space, and it's also his older brother.
Yeah, when I was at practice, I visited for a long time with Justin, And Justin's one of the great analytics guys and talent evaluators. That's what he's done for his business for a long time. He's fascinating to talk to. And he's going to not only give BYU a chance at the top players, he's also going to find some diamonds in the rough. They're going to come in here and be really, really good. He really gets it, and he's a big-time analytics guy, so it'll be fun.
Women's soccer, right now, they're at Kansas State. They're up 1-0 at halftime. I was just checking that score. They tied Kansas 2-2 last week in Lawrence. And Thursday night, they're home against Baylor. That'll be the last really warm night.
Yeah, maybe we should go on a warm night on Thursday.
I think it's supposed to turn Friday. It might turn in time for that game.
Oh, gosh.
7 o'clock Mountain on ESPN Plus over at Southfield.
Yeah. Let's talk women's volleyball national ranking of 24. BYU swept number 18 Baylor 3-0 and lost to number 17 TCU 3-2 this last week. So this week, Wednesday, BYU's at Iowa State at 7 p.m. Mountain on ESPN Plus. And then Saturday, the Utes come to town. Number 20 Utah at number 24 BYU, 7 p.m. Mountain Time on ESPN Plus.
That's going to be a big one.
That's a big one.
That is big. Cross country, the men number 2, they just won the Dellinger Invite. It seems like they just go and win. They placed 1 through 5. 1 through 5.
Yeah.
I led to look to see if any other teams were in the field, and there were a bunch of them. Case Klinger won the individual title. The Big 12 championships coming up November 1st in Waco, Texas.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to say one thing about women's volleyball. We talk about basketball league, you know. In women's volleyball, the Big 12 has more ranked teams than any other conference in America. So
it's solid.
Keep that in mind. BYU women, back to cross country, BYU women's cross country. National ranking is 5. The next up for them is the Wisconsin pre-national Saturday in Madison, Wisconsin. The Big 12 championships are, at the same time as the men on November 1st in Waco, Texas.
Shout out to men's golf winning the Big 12 match play championships last week. Great way to start off the fall season.
Yes.
Every now and then we see them over there at Riverside.
Yeah, it's fun.
We see the women's team over there more than the men, but they got out there and beat everybody, so nice job.
Yeah. We going to do some on this day?
Let's roll out of here with some cool stuff.
October 14th.
A lot of things happened on this day.
Yeah, let's start in 1894. We always like to go back to the 1800s because you do your research. Dave,
we wouldn't be here.
By the way, Dave does all this research.
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the 1800s.
Because George Eastman, he patented the paper strip photographic film. He was the founder of Eastman Kodak, which is near and dear to my heart because Eastman Kodak is a Rochester, New York, just up the road from me, company.
And where would we be without Kodak?
We'd be nowhere.
Before we could take pictures on our phone.
Right.
You had to do it with Kodak.
Yeah.
1926, A.A. Milne publishes his book, Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, love it. So, tut tut looks like rain. We'll be saying that on Friday.
Yes, we will.
1964, Martin Luther King Jr. is awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
1968, the first telecast from a manned U.S. spacecraft, the Apollo 7.
Wow.
And they were right in the cockpit. I was one.
Wow.
I just showed up for that.
1978, the first TV movie from a TV series was made, and it was The Rescue from Gilligan's Island.
Did not all of us
I watched Gilligan's Island every day
after school?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden...
Question for you. Ginger or Marianne?
We've had this discussion before. And I think we skirted the issue, but I think we both went with... we both think Marianne and Ginger are fine people.
They're fine humans. I like Marianne better. She seems like I can.
She seems like she'd play golf with us.
I can relate to her better. Yeah. She seems like she'd go to the game and watch with us.
Seems like she would. Maybe even put some money on it.
Ginger seems a little more high maintenance to me.
I think she.
Okay. So there you go.
No one was more high maintenance than Mrs. Howell.
No, Mrs. Howell. What did his wife called her? Lovey.
Thurston colored Lovey.
Lovey, there you go.
1979.
Wayne Gretzky scores his first NHL goal in 1979.
He scored a lot. He scored his first tonight. Yep. 1985, on this day, the New York Jets retired Joe Namath, number 12.
Little known BYU trivia question. Who was the backup quarterback to Joe Namath for a time that has BYU ties?
Joe Cap. I have no idea.
Mike Holmgren.
He was the backup?
Mike Holmgren was the starting quarterback at USC when O.J. Simpson was the Heisman Trophy winner. Then he went to the New York Jets and was the backup to Joe Namath before he went into coaching.
I did not know that. How about that?
He would tell us some amazing stories about Joe Namath and how they didn't make him practice and how he ran everything back there. So, Mike Holmgren was a backup quarterback to Joe Namath at the Jets.
On this day in 2007, Keeping Up with the Kardashians premieres on the E! Network, and our lives have never been the same since.
Because the reality shows have taken over
Think
our
about
lives.
that. We've been punished by those shows since 2007.
Then we can blame the Kardashians.
2024. That's 17 years.
Can blame the Kardashians. How about October 14th birthdays? You went all the way back to 1644.
Old school.
1644, William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania, was born on October 14th.
1890, Dwight D. Eisenhower, the 34th president of the United States.
1910, John Wooden, basketball coach, philosopher extraordinaire, UCLA. 1910.
1927, Roger Moore, James Bond.
Yep. Is he your best one?
He was the James Bond of my teenage years.
Yeah.
I just like them all. If there's a story that's written good, that's awesome, and if it's a story that's written too long, like a few of them, then it loses me.
Are they completely over though? Because Daniel Craig got killed on the last
they're
one.
coming back. They're like a Superman. They're just going to redo.
Okay, because
I
will go to anyone that I'll do any James Bond movie. Yeah. 1939, Ralph Lauren, the designer.
Yeah.
Is it Lauren or Lauren?
I think it's Lauren.
I think it is.
For my daughter, the debate in the family for years, is it Lauren or Lauren? And I said, well, it's Lauren.
So
and they said, well, how can it not be Lauren? I said, because I'm the dad.
Yeah, and it's decided, Lauren. Yeah.
So
1978, Usher. If Usher doesn't come, isn't Usher the guy that found Justin Bieber?
I think he found a lot of guys.
If Usher wasn't the guy, then there would be no JB.
No.
So the Biebs.
Some deaths on October 14th in history. 1977, Bing Crosby died on this day.
What's your favorite Bing Crosby song? I think White Christmas is my favorite song.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yep.
I don't really love the one with him and David Bowie and the little drummer boy.
Yeah, they just told me. And then David Bowie's... I
don't really like David Bowie in that.
No, I think Bing Crosby... that White Christmas movie is old school at Christmas time. You just got to play it.
We might be singing it Friday night.
Yep. I'm dreaming. There we go. 1990. Leonard Bernstein, the great composer, was born or died in 1990 on October 14th.
Our Wise Guys inspirational quote of the week is from John Wooden.
He had so many. Yeah. So here's what John said. Things turn out best for the people who make the best of the way things turn out.
Now, think about that again, and let's read it. Read it again slower.
Things turn out best for the people who make the best of the way things turn out.
That's one of my favorite all-time quotes because it's so true. And you look around at the people that you know that are successful and all this stuff, and then you learn about their life and all the things they had to deal with.
They don't get bogged down.
Challenges and diseases and this and that. And they just made the best out of the way things went.
Yep. They don't get bogged down. They just take it as it comes and overcome it.
Harvey Langi is our guest tonight. He was fantastic. You can see it again on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and over at wiseguys.com. Next week, Elder Clark Gilbert, the Commissioner of Church Education. We're going to talk about the future of BYU sports. We talked to him at the game on Saturday. He's excited to come in. He's got some things to say.
Yeah.
And we can't wait.
Some big announcement. I don't know. He's got some big things he said.
And he's a diehard BYU fan.
It's going to be really fun to have him in here.
C is for Cougar, the perfect Christmas gift for Cougar fans of all ages. Order yours today at deseretbook.com. And how about a shout out?
Yeah.
We don't often do shout outs, but we're doing one.
We're going to do one to Dr. Mark Ott, who's the founding dean of the BYU Medical School. The announcement was made this past week.
How about that?
What a great reputation Mark Ott brings and a perfect person to put in that role.
Here's a final thought. In the 100 years of BYU football, there are only 6 quarterbacks who've started a season 6-0. Mark Wilson, 1979. Robbie Bosco, 1984. No Steve Young. No Jim McMahon. No Gary Scheide. No. Yeah. Brandon Doman, 2001. Max Hall, 2008. Zach Wilson, 2020. And Jake Retzlaff here in 2024. That tweeted out by our friend Mitch Harper.
Who won the most games of all those guys in those years?
Max.
Oh, Max. Oh, Max won the most games ever as a starting quarterback. I'm thinking in those particular years.
Oh, in those seasons?
Yeah,
Robbie. Robbie, right?
Wait a minute. Brandon Doman started 12-0, didn't he?
Yeah. But Robbie finished 13.
Oh, yeah. Robbie won 13. Robbie never lost.
Interesting in 96 where they won 14 games, but they didn't start.
But they lost early in the season and recovered.
Yeah. I think, was it Washington?
It was Washington, yeah. That was a heck of a year, too.
Hey, tomorrow on After Further Review, we're going to break down all the great stuff from the Arizona game.
It's a fun one.
All these different angles. We'll explain to you why plays worked, why they didn't, and we'll do a preview of Oklahoma State. Nick's will be back with us tomorrow.
Yep.
So that's at the stream on BYU TV app is at 5 Mountain Time. Then it just stays there, so you can see it anytime.
Yeah.
And then also on ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
And then Friday night, Under the Lights.
We got it.
It'll be dark before we start our pregame show. Won't it? 6 o'clock?
Yeah. It seems like it's been getting dark around 7. If
Around
it's
7?
still cloudy, but you know what? It's Friday nights or fright night for opposing teams that come into BYU.
Yeah.
So
Cougars going to try to get to 7-0. This is a special, magical season. Let's live in the moment.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy it. And here's the thing. Even if they wake up Saturday morning 6-1, they're still very much in the chase for the road to Arlington and the college football playoff. You win enough games and suddenly you don't have to be perfect to still get the prize. Right. That's what 6-0 has done for them.
I'm projecting 7-0 Saturday morning.
Yeah, so am I. Wise Guys is presented by our friends at Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. Look for the podcast tomorrow. Look for our clips on YouTube. Look for our coverage in the Deseret News. And we'll continue to conquer the world. I thought our live stream was global tonight. Yeah,
I loved it. It was great. All over the world. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate the support that you give us, and we love the chat that's going on while we're on the air.
See you guys. Have a great week.